Today is Friday,
Right.
October 30th, 2015, and we are here today to interview Sister Rosita Schiller. We would like to know about your journey of faith. What led you to the religious life?
Well, I'm a farm girl, and it all starts there.
Okay.
My family was very Catholic. I'm one of 7 children, and we lived in a farm community, went to a church that was in our community that was a mission church. And so my grandparents had gone there, my dad's parents had gone there, and as a family, we were faithful members of that church. And we went regularly. Our family was very founded in the Catholic religion. My mother went to school at Marywood Academy in Grand Rapids, and so she really kept the faith alive in our family. We had the family rosary regularly. We prayed together. We always prayed together before meals. We always ate our meals together as a family, 9 people around the table. And so it was a very strong Catholic influence. In the summertime, because it was a mission church, and although we had catechism during the year, in the summertime, the pastor would invite sisters from different communities to come and do a summer Bible school. And so there we had a week-long, well, what would you call it, religious education probably, or Bible school that kind of reinforced and emphasized and gave us kind of a concentration in the Catholic faith. And so I've been Catholic all my life and grew up with it, and all of my brothers and sisters have remained faithful to the religion. I had my older brother, Father Tom Schiller, was a priest in the diocese, and he also was an extremely pastoral, loving man. He died just a year ago, last February. So we miss him greatly.
Yes,
but just a very strong Catholic family all the way along.
So why did you choose the Sisters of Mercy as opposed to maybe a different religious order?
Well, my mother wanted me to become a Dominican because Marywood was taught by the Dominican sisters. And the sisters who came to our church, St. John the Baptist, in the summertime to do this religion class were Sisters of Mercy.
Oh.
And I knew them then, but then when it came time for us girls, my older sister, myself, and my younger sister Rosemary, when it came time for us to go to high school, in Grand Rapids there also was Mount Mercy Academy, which had tuition that was just a little bit cheaper than Marywood. And so we 3 girls went to Mount Mercy Academy, where I really became even more familiar with the Sisters of Mercy. And so when I felt a call to religious life, it was to the Sisters of Mercy. And my mother said to me, are you sure you want to be a Sister of Mercy? Have you really thought about the Dominicans? They get to come home on vacation. And I said, well, Mama, I don't want to go there. And so she understood that. And so I became a Sister of Mercy. Been a Sister of Mercy now for more than 60 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
It's been a wonderful life, yes.
You can see it. So what was the focus of your education? Well, first of all, were you a student at Mercy College?
When I joined the Sisters of Mercy, I was only 16, and so I hadn't finished high school yet. So I do have my diploma from Mount Mercy, however, because there was a lot of competition between Mount Mercy and Our Lady of Mercy High School here in Detroit. And so when any young woman from Mount Mercy wanted to join the Sisters of Mercy, the faculty at Mount Mercy was very protective of those young women. And so at that time, Sister Mary Frederick was the principal there, and she made sure that I got my diploma from Mount Mercy. Even though I didn't, my last 2 classes, I took the classes actually as a novice. And so I finished my high school, and then I made my first profession in 1955. And at that time, the leaders in our community asked us what we would like to do. And I always envisioned myself as being a teacher. And so when they said, what would you like to do? I said I wanted to be a biology teacher, and I don't remember what else I put. And so I finished all of my courses in education. and I did my practice teaching at the high school level. But before we were allowed to make our first profession, we were required to have a year's experience in a ministry. And because I hadn't finished college yet, I was assigned to teach the 4th grade at Holy Cross School in Lansing. And so I taught 4th grade and did my year of ministry, and then made my final vows in 1955. While I was teaching at Holy Cross, the Mother Superior called me to the provincial house over Christmas vacation for 2 reasons. One, I was an expert seamstress, and they needed help in making habits for the new young women who were going to be received. And so while I was there at the Mother House, the Mother Provincial called me and said, "Dear, would you like to be a dietitian?" And I said, "Oh, yes, Mother." I left her office. I went to a dictionary.
Oh, you didn't know what it was?
I didn't know what it was, no. And so I looked to see what it was that I was going to be doing. Well, I didn't have any of the sciences that were required. I had none of the courses in nutrition and dietetics and management and food service management and all that. And so I guess you'd say I had a double major, because I had all my education courses. I had a certificate in teaching that I had completed, and I had the certificate. And then I finished my degree in dietetics and completed my dietetic internship at Henry Ford Hospital. And I did that in 1959 and 60. So I graduated 59, did my year's internship at Henry Ford, and then completed that internship in 1960.
So you were a student at Mercy College?
I was a student. I had my degree from Mercy College, yes.
Both of them? Well, the education.
I have a baccalaureate degree from Mercy College, yes.
Okay. Did you ever teach there?
At Mercy College? Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right. So
can you tell us about your role there?
Well, after I finished my dietetic internship, I spent 2 years in the hospital at Manistee, Michigan, and I was the director of the department there. It was a small hospital, had about 75 beds, and I was the director of the department. And that's really why Mother Nicholas wanted me to be a dietitian, because at that time we owned about 20 hospitals, and food services in a hospital are one of the major budget items, as well as a key really to patient satisfaction. So I served in Manistee for 2 years, and then I was assigned to St. Lawrence Hospital in Lansing. And so I was the department head there also, but it was a much larger hospital, had about 400 beds. And so while I was in Lansing then, in that role, I completed my master's degree at Michigan State University. And so at Michigan State...
What degree was that?
And that was, I majored there in institution management with a minor in nutrition. And
HRI.
Exactly. And so I really built on my background in dietetics with emphasis at that time in institution management, because I was the department head. I was serving in a managerial role. But then I minored in nutrition so that I would balance that experience. So I was at St. Lawrence Lansing for 4 years, and as soon as I finished my master's degree, I was appointed then to teach in the dietetics program at Mercy College. So it was in the fall of '66 that I came to Mercy College on the faculty, and I taught. I was active. I was on the faculty. I served on committees, I suppose. I don't remember that part at that time. But I really liked my teaching. So I taught nutrition, I taught management, I taught food service management, I taught diet therapy, the basic required courses in the dietetics curriculum. I liked it so much that I said to the president of the college, I really like this, and if I'm going to be a university professor, I really need a PhD. And so I asked for a leave of absence to study, and I had gone to a number of different conferences at various universities, and one of the places I visited was Ohio State. And so when it came time to pursue a PhD, I enrolled at Ohio State. And so I took the year that I was required, and I took all my coursework, And then during that year, I asked for an extension so that I could finish my dissertation and be all completed before I would come back. So I basically had a 2-year leave of absence between 70 and 72 to complete my PhD work, including my dissertation.
So you got a PhD in 2 years?
I did, at Ohio State.
Wow.
In and that major was in human nutrition. And I had a scholarship. I had nothing else, no other responsibilities. I had no committees. I had nobody that I had to look out for. I just studied. That's all I did was study and work and write papers and do my dissertation.
You must have taken 5-6 classes a semester.
I took a lot of them. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I finished and I was on scholarship. So yes, it was probably I won't say it was the best 2 years of my life, but it sure was wonderful. So I graduated in 72, and then I came back to Mercy College and taught then from 1972 to 78 at Mercy College. So I was at Mercy College for 10 years on the faculty. In 1978, Ohio State recruited me to head their medical dietetics division, which was in the School of Allied Medical Professions, which was part of the College of Medicine. And so, of course, that was very different. This was 1978, and at that time, we were in the throes of a lot of personnel changes in our community, and, what are we going to do with this? Would I be able to go? And so I went to our community leadership, and I said, I've been invited to apply for this position. If they ask me to come for an interview, I'm going to go. And if after the interview they offer me a job, I'm going to take it. So, may I apply for this position? And I'm sure the leadership team discussed it. They discussed the pros and cons. They said, what are we going to do with this? And they authorized me and said yes, that I could apply. And so I did, and I interviewed, and they offered me the job, and I took it. And so I was at Ohio State then from 1978, and I retired from there in 2003. So I was at Ohio State for 25 years.
Yeah, a long time.
In that position, and it just, I loved it there. But I'm sure that part of my success there was because what I had learned at Mercy College. I had been on committees, I'd been on the faculty senate, I was involved in the college governance, shall I say. And because I had all that experience, when I went to Ohio State, it was very easy for me to understand the structures, the organization, the administration, the committee structure, faculty involvement, and so on. And so within about 2 years, I was on faculty committees and faculty senate at the university. And so I got to know a lot of people across campus and around campus, and it was just a delightful experience, yes.
It sounds like it. Maybe we'll come back to that, but let's get back to Mercy College.
All right.
Do you have a favorite story or memory about your time there?
Well, Sister Celeste Snyder was a wonderful, she was the department head in home economics. And so she's the person that I reported to in dietetics. But she was also teaching when I was a student there. And when I was a student, she recognized, I suppose, my potential. And one of the things that she wanted to ensure was that I would be engaged in my profession nationally. And so when I was a student, she arranged for me to go to my first national meeting of the American Dietetic Association.
Wow.
And the meeting that year was in Philadelphia. And so it was my first time out of the state of Michigan. And so we accompanied each other, and she really, she also took me for my first meal in a restaurant in Detroit. And I remember we had lunch at J.L. Hudson's. Tablecloths, cloth napkins, but as a farm girl, we didn't go out. My dad hated to go out for meals, and so we just didn't go to restaurants. We had 7 kids,
You can't afford it.
Exactly, you can't afford it, and who knows what my table manners were like, I don't know. But Sister Celeste was just very, she herself was involved professionally, and she was a wonderful mentor and a model for engagement, not only in your own college and university, but in your state organization and as well as nationally.
Yes, national.
And so with that kind of background and that encouragement, I always was active at the state level. I served as our state president. I served as the president of our local organization. When then I was established professionally, I sat on numerous committees at the national level. In terms of, like, I sat on accreditation boards and did site visits to various universities, other programs. I was on our research council. I served on our national board of directors. And so, but it was because of what I learned as a student and as a young faculty member in terms of volunteer work and the value and the benefit that would bring to one's professional life and one's engagement in the profession.
So when you were at Ohio State, do you have a favorite story about that?
Golly, in all those 25 years, what will I say?
You ran into a football player, maybe?
Well, I met Woody Hayes. Does that count?
Oh, sure.
Yes, well, I was at lunch at the faculty club one day, and Woody Hayes came in and sat beside me at the faculty club. And so I had a one-on-one with Woody Hayes.
No, that's a claim to fame now.
It is a claim to fame. But I also have my picture taken with Mr. Dan Antonio at Michigan State University, so as well as Jim Tressel, who was
You're being very whatever.
Yes.
How did you see your work impact the students at Mercy College?
Medical dietetics, or at that time at Mercy College, the dietetics program was a small program. It was an innovative program that Sister Agnes Mary Mansour had established. And it was at the time when the allied health professions were going through a transition from becoming more and more professional. And so Sister Agnes Mary established in most of our programs what we call the 2+2 program. And so we offered associate degrees for students who wanted to come for an associate degree, but they would also be prepared then to get a job in their field and to continue their education for the junior and senior year, receive a baccalaureate degree. All of our health programs included a supervised practice component, so that when the student graduated, they, unlike myself, I needed a year's internship after. But for our students that finished that 4-year, what we call coordinated program, they were eligible to sit for the registration exam and to get a position in their field as a certified registered professional. So when I joined the faculty in 1972, after I came back from my PhD work, that program was just, it had been approved and we were implementing it. And so I would say during that time, we did a lot of work in terms of establishing that program. The students were very excited to be a part of this. It was new, it was innovative. And we had a lot of one-on-one because of our supervised practice experience, our simulated education for them to learn the techniques and the skills before they would be placed with a patient or in a hospital kitchen, doing management work or food service administration. And so I remember, in fact, not today, but at this time, when I go to meetings at the state or the national level, I will see students who graduated from dietetics at Mercy College that will chat with me, will say what a great education they had and how it prepared them well for their work in the field. And there are several of them who are active here at the state of Michigan at the board of directors level.
There's been some studies that the more engaged students are with their faculty, the more they're happy with their college experience. So that's what you gave them.
And they did, and they're
Very
active
nice.
today.
Yeah.
And I will see them, and they're as I say, they're engaged, and they've had successful careers, and have remained in the field, have remained and have been fulfilled by their professions.
Wow. So, how have your roles changed over time? I know you've lived in the city of Detroit and Michigan, and how also has your role changed with the Sisters of Mercy?
Well, I lived in Detroit when I was a novice, when I was a student at Mercy College, and also when I taught for those 10
Right.
years at Mercy College. And that was really the time that I lived in Detroit. And so, my roles have changed, and I described earlier about my time at Ohio State and how I was very much engaged in not only the university structure and organizationally, but because of my position I was the head of the department, and with my background in nutrition and food service management and institution management and strength, the university, as it does here, focuses on teaching and research and service. And so I really was encouraged and supported in all of those roles. I taught classes. I had my scholarship. Some of it was research, but some of it was just scholarship in taking the principles of nutrition and management and encouraging people in my field to advance and to focus on quality management and clinical nutrition management, and so on. And so, because of my responsibilities there, I was required to publish, which I did. And I have a number of publications, 50, 75. I wrote some books. And because of those, you get visibility. And so I was invited to do a number of national presentations. Did several internationally. I presented at the International Congress of Dietetics several times in South Africa, in Paris, in Jerusalem, in Scotland. And so those are my international presentations. But in a leadership position and recognition, because Ohio State had a lot of opportunity nationally as a leading university in dietetics. And so I was invited to give presentations at a number of state organizations, and was a part of a people-to-people delegation to China, for example. And had an opportunity, I was invited to go to Japan and work with their dietetics faculties there, in response to a person that we had spent some time with, who came to Ohio State as a part of her, she spent 6 months with us as a part of her development, and so was able to go to Japan and spend some time there. And so my roles have changed because of my experience and my initiation into the field at a very, very professional and engaged level.
Yes. How do you connect on a personal level to the mission of the Sisters of Mercy? You're really not connected with University of Detroit Mercy, are you?
Except I sit on the board, have been
Oh,
on
you're
the board.
on the board.
I've been on the board since, I can't remember if it was 1998 or 2000. I think it was 1998 when I think Sister
this
Maureen
time.
Fay was the president,
Yes.
and invited me to join the board. And so I've been on the board for at least 15 years, if not 17. And so, yes, I'm very much engaged at University of Detroit Mercy. Very
Okay.
engaged in the mission. Yes.
So,
yes.
okay.
All
So,
right.
how do you connect on a
Mhm.
personal level with both
Mhm.
the mission of the Sisters of Mercy
Mhm.
and the University of Detroit Mercy? And are they even interrelated?
Well, they're very much related, because as a sponsoring organization, the
Right,
Sisters
this
of
is-
Mercy,
Right.
a part of our mission is the education of not only people who need education, but our future leaders in the country and in the church and in the world. And so we're very much engaged in the Catholic education and the promotion of of our mission, which is, to serve the uneducated and the sick and the poor and to serve where there is a need.
Right.
And so the mission of the Sisters of Mercy is very much in tune with the mission here at University of Detroit Mercy.
As you are retired from academia,
Mm-hmm.
how are you spending your time now? And how was your transition away from academia?
Well, actually, when I decided I would retire from Ohio State, I'd been there for 25 years. I'd spent for 35. I'd spent another 6 as a hospital dietitian. And I wasn't ready to do nothing. And so I went to the administrator at a Mercy, what started out as a Mercy hospital in Grand Rapids, because I grew up in West Michigan, and I was interested in going back and being closer to family. And so I sent a letter to Mr. McCorkle, and I said I would really would like to come to St. Mary's in Grand Rapids. I said, I will be a trainee. I'll do anything you'd like me to do. And so he contacted me, and I went and met with him a couple times. And he wanted to know what my skills were, and so I prepared a resume for him outlining what I had done and kind of, focused on the skills that I had had. I'd been at that time a trustee at Mount Carmel Hospital in Columbus. I was a trustee at Mercy Hospital in Springfield, Ohio, so I had trustee governance experience. I had teaching experience. I had communication skills. I had just that skills that had developed over time. And so Mr. McCorkle said they would be very happy to have me. And so he offered me an opportunity to work with our St. Mary's Foundation, primarily as a grant writer, because we have federal grants there that support our health care for the homeless and our health care for HIV/AIDS. We have an AIDS clinic that serves about 1,000 patients with HIV/AIDS from all over West Michigan. And our healthcare for the homeless has a special clinic that serves healthcare for the homeless, but we also have a large Hispanic population, a lot of migrant workers and immigrant families that are also included in our healthcare for the homeless. And so with my experience in writing, I worked in those, and then I also write other grant proposals for funding. Sometimes I work with physicians who are interested in doing research. I coordinate our internal grants program, and I've been there now for 12 years. But the thing about it is, when he offered me, I said, well, I need some flexibility because I have these board responsibilities that I have, and so I'm committed to 80 hours a month, but the time is flexible. And my other requirement says I don't want anybody reporting to me. And so I'm an independent worker. Nobody says they have to call me when they're sick and I have to fill in. None of that. No. So I put in my time. I keep a calendar, and I make sure that because I do report to somebody. And so I turn in my timesheets, and they see that I'm working my 80 hours, and they see the accomplishments. And so this year we got about $3.3 million in grant funding, and so it's a very rewarding opportunity. Yes. But it's engaging and challenging and worthwhile and fulfilling and freeing at the same time. Yeah, how can you beat that?
You can't.
You can't. No, you can't. No.
This wasn't part of our initial interview, but you mentioned Sister Kenise.
Mm-hmm.
And with her recent passing, we were wondering if you have a favorite story or a favorite memory of her that you'd like to share.
Mm-hmm. Well, I lived with Sister Kenise. In fact, when I came back, finished my PhD.
You have some good stories.
Yes, I was living, there were 4 of us who lived at a house behind, at that time, Mount Carmel Hospital, which has since been razed, so it's not there anymore. But in the house, all the houses on the street where we lived have been razed also. But we lived in a little house there on LeSure Street, and Sister Kenise lived there, as I did. And we had both finished recently, because at that time she had just finished her PhD as well. And we were both teaching at Mercy College. And Sister Kenise's degree was in English with a specialty in, I don't even know what you call it, but it was the the base root of words and the etymology. What is it?
Linguistics.
Linguistics, yes.
Yes.
Linguistics, all right. And so Sister Kenise was teaching, and the English class that she took, she taught, the class that she taught linguistics. And she would go home and tell stories about the students and how difficult it was for them. Because there were a lot of native Detroit people in this class in linguistics, and said, "Why do we need to learn this? You know what?" But Sister Kenise was so fired up, and she had just finished her PhD and finished her dissertation on I'm not sure what, but it just was an inspiration to see and to see her come back and have such fire for education and to work with students and the time that she put in and the struggles that she had in keeping the students engaged in this learning that they wondered, what am I ever going to do with this? Mm-hmm. So, but it was an inspiration to live with her.
Our last question. Is there anything we haven't discussed with you that you would like to tell us?
I think I've given you a pretty good rundown of what I've done and where I started.
There must be something in there that. So, are you a Buckeye or are you a?
No, I'm a Buckeye.
Oh no!
Oh yes, I'm sorry, but we have a very strong Buckeye Nation in West Michigan, and I'm on the board of directors there, and we have a good time. But we also
go blue.
Go blue. That's right, and go green. That's right. Well, as a Michigan State grad, it's not so bad because my sister Rosemary has tickets to the Michigan State games, and she always invites me when Ohio State comes to town. But I have nieces who graduated Michigan, and so we had just a wonderful family.
Rivalry?
No, not rivalry. No, we don't gloat.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't gloat when our team wins. We try to keep it quite friendly, and we have a very good time. Yes.
So, is there anything else that you would like to tell us?
No, I think I've covered it pretty
You've covered everything.
I think so.
Well, this has been very delightful.
Well, thank you.
Very delightful, sister.
Mm-hmm. It's been an enjoyed it.
Any questions?
Are you still, besides being on UDM's board, are you still on any other boards of trustees, or when you moved back to?
Well, my term finished at Mount Carmel. My term expired. And also at Springfield, I'm not on that board, but I'm on the board of directors at All Saints Academy, which is an elementary school in Grand Rapids. I have grandnephews who go to that school, and so I'm on that board, and I'm on the board of our local alumni club.
And so you had mentioned your brother.
Yes, Father Tom Schiller. Mm-hmm.
And did you have any other brothers or sisters that went into religious life?
Not brothers or sisters, but my nephew Dennis O'Donnell is also a priest in the Grand Rapids Diocese, and so very proud of him as well.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned you knew Sister Agnes Mary. You want to add something about Sister Agnes Mary?
Yes. Do you have a favorite story about Sister Agnes Mary Mansour?
Well, I mentioned about how she really started our coordinated programs on the health professions. And Sister Agnes Mary was also a leader in the health profession. She herself being a chemist, and then as the president of the college, she really understood the health professions and brought in department heads who were strong in their field. So all of our health programs at that time were very strong. It was separate from the college or the program in nursing, and our allied health professions really grew and developed under her leadership. The program in dietetics was discontinued about 4 or 5 years after I left there, and but Sister Agnes Mary really fought for the development and the growth of those programs.
Thank you very much for coming today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.